me and you and me. No matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you. Happy together.
Something's gone wrong in the happy-go-lucky world of Nintendo.
Nintendo is one of the most beloved video game companies of all time. Whether it's from the games they make, their franchises, their consoles, or their history, there truly is no other company like Nintendo. However, just because Nintendo is a beloved company, doesn't mean they're safe from controversial things, and the company itself is no stranger to controversies. I'm sure all you know what an iceberg chart is, but for those who somehow don't know, it's a chart that goes over knowledge of certain topics such as video games, movies, music, and more, with the top of the iceberg representing the most well-known topics, to the bottom of the iceberg being information that not even the most hardcore fans will know about. The iceberg in particular that I'm using comes from icebergcharts.com. However, it was not really well structured, so I decided to rearrange it a little to make sure it's much more structured. For this iceberg, I'll try my best to remain unbiased as possible towards this list and try to give an objective point of view over any of these controversies. Of course, if it's something that, like pedophilia, then I will of course favor one side. So, without further ado, this is the Nintendo Controversy Iceberg. Helena Taylor pay fiasco. Helena Taylor, as some of you may know, was the voice of Bayonetta from the Bayonetta series. She's been voicing Bayonetta since the first game in the series that started on the PlayStation 3, and reprised her role in Bayonetta 2 for the Wii U. However, she was not stated to be returning for Bayonetta 3, the then upcoming title for the Nintendo Switch, with some scratching their heads as to why. Around the time Bayonetta 3 was about to release, Helena uploaded a series of videos to Twitter, calling out Platinum Games, the developers of the series, for only offering her $4,000 for her to reprise her role, which had her leave the project because she didn't want to be paid that amount of cash, leaving the role to go to Jennifer Hale, who has done a lot of work on games like Metroid Prime, Metal Gear Solid, and Mass Effect. Because of her claiming she wasn't treated well as a voice actress, she asked fans of Bayonetta to boycott the game. This caused an uproar online, with many people saying that Platinum and Nintendo should have treated her better as a voice actress. However, some people were skeptical about this whole situation. Hideki Kamiya, the creator of Bayonetta, stated on Twitter that what Helena said was all a lie and it wasn't what actually happened, though people didn't believe it at the time because Hideki was known for having these kinds of statements on Twitter. Later on, Platinum Games themselves made a statement stating that Helena was actually going to be paid more than what she had stated, as was stated she was going to be paid $4,000 per session, and not the $4,000 for the whole role. Helena claimed that was not true, and once again urged a boycott, and even suggested charities to donate to, which is what she initially suggested from her boycott videos. However, the charities that were suggested were politically controversial to say the least. But that, along the fact that she also made a further statement saying that she was at first going to be paid $10,000 with an additional $5,000, made people stop believing her because it seemed too contradictory to what she originally said. Overall, the boycott was something that almost ruined the reputation of Bayonetta 3, but in the end, the game did do well, selling over 1 million copies worldwide, getting great reviews, and even winning Best Action Game at the Game Awards for that year. Many people consider this moment to be the moment where Helena Taylor's career came to an end. Many wonder if she had initially planned this, though that is more on the speculation side. DK Rap. The DK Rap is the song that plays as the intro song to Donkey Kong 64 for the Nintendo 64. This may be surprising for some to see on the iceberg, considering the DK Rap is very beloved by fans. However, the main reason for it being on the iceberg, however, is because the verse for Chunky Kong mentions that he is, and I quote, one hell of a guy. This was seen as controversial because the word hell didn't feel right to be used in a child-friendly game like Donkey Kong 64. This was changed in the remix version for Super Smash Bros. Melee, where it was changed to be one heck of a guy. I should also mention that when the DK Rap was shown to the world, people were actually super harsh towards the song, saying it was outright terrible. The composer of the song, Grant Kirkhope, stated in interviews that the DK Rap was created as a joke and was never intended to be taken seriously. Over time, however, many fans grew to love the song, which is more likely a case of a so bad it's good situation, as the song is very cheesy, but that's why fans love it. The DK rap was even used in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, when the audience gets introduced to Donkey Kong for the first time. It's clear the DK rap has a big legacy in gaming history, despite the fact some see it as very cheesy.
Pokemon is satanic.
This may be surprising to hear now, but back in the day, there were accusations of the ever-popular Pokemon franchise of being satanic, mainly from Christians. Many said that the way Pokemon works, being you collect creatures and get badges and use them in battle, is the exact same as summoning demons. It was likely an accusation done because of the big Pokemon craze that happened back in the 90s, which can safely fall under the "I hate this because it's popular so I should come up with a baseless accusation" category. Because people who have played Pokemon should know that this accusation is pretty ridiculous. This was originally stated on icebergcharts.com, but it says that in an ironic sense that the Catholic Church actually praised Pokemon for teaching kids the values of friendship. It's obvious by now that Pokemon isn't considered satanic anymore, unless I just haven't been saying it. So this controversy was pretty short-lived from what I can tell.
Rude gesture in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe features quite a few new pieces of content compared to the Wii U counterpart, at least before it received the boosted Course Pass DLC, with one of those being the Inklings from the Splatoon series. However, there was a small bit of controversy that resolved Nintendo patching the game not too long after the game's release. Originally, one of these animations for Inkling Girl had her doing a certain gesture with her arm. This gesture is used in certain countries like Spain only, and is known as, and I'm sorry if I pronounce this wrong, brasdiona, which in those cultures is the equivalent to flipping someone off, or in layman's terms, telling someone to fuck off. It's not known why this gesture was in the game in the first place, but in the 1.1 version of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, alongside other patches to the game, they also changed Inkling Girl's animations to no longer use this gesture.
Mr. Game & Watch headdress.
Prior to the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, there was a controversy about the character Mr. Game & Watch. In one of the promotional videos for the game, Mr. Game & Watch could be seen performing this forward smash. This specific forward smash is meant to be a reference to the Game & Watch title, Fire Attack. However, while the reference is indeed cool, Mr. Game & Watch was also wearing a headdress while performing this move. This headdress was quite similar to the ones worn by Native Americans, which is based around Fire Attack's main objective, which is to hit away thrown torches from Native Americans. People were upset at this as it was seen as racist. Nintendo responded to the controversy, apologizing and promising to remove the headdress from the final release of the game, which they did do. In the final release of the game, the Game & Watch still performs this forward smash as it normally functions, but without wearing the headdress.
Hashtag bring back national decks.
This refers to the game Pokemon Sword and Shield, and how certain Pokemon were omitted from the final release of the game, many of which were from the national decks, which for those who are unaware is meant to be the encyclopedia of every Pokemon from the past. Game Freak's reasoning for this was that they wanted to create new Pokemon from scratch. However, this did not bode well with fans, as many fan-favourite Pokemon did not make their way into the final release of the game, causing the hashtag #BringBackNationalDex to trend on Twitter. Many felt that removing Pokemon goes against the famous "Gotta Catch 'em All" tagline, which has been used for the series since the start. The backlash grew even more when fans felt the game looked underwhelming, and they grew more and more when the game actually released. This was also when the game was revealed to be reusing models and animations from the 3DS Pokemon titles. The controversy grew much more when the game got DLC, with many feeling like the DLC should have been part of the base game from the start, or at least be free because of Game Freak's actions. This leads to a whole lot of other controversies relating to the quality control of recent Pokemon titles that I won't go into yet. But I'll just say that recent Pokemon titles have been receiving harsh criticism due to the quality.
Burger King Pokeball toy incident.
I'm sure some of you know that fast food joints like Burger King have kids meals that often have a little toy inside as a bonus. I remember getting excited over little toys in my Happy Meals as a kid, even if they were, kind of crappy. But that's not what we're here to talk about. To promote Pokemon the first movie, Nintendo did a collaboration with Burger King, where by purchasing a kid's meal, you get a little Pokeball toy. Pretty cute, right? However, these toys were later recalled after a kid supposedly choked on one of the plastic pieces. Now, I don't want to go too in-depth, seeing as it is a huge rabbit hole, but if you want to read up on it, I'll leave a Wikipedia article on the matter in the description. Basically, they were recalled because of legit safety concerns and risks and natural reports of children suffocating on the plastic pieces of the toy.
Video Game Donkey Xenoblade reviews.
Video Game Donkey, also known as Donkey, is a game essay and skit YouTuber most well known for his game reviews. If you've watched Donkey's videos, you know his style and content and humor quite well, even if you may or may not like it. But one thing that is known about Donkey is his hatred towards JRPGs, despite the fact he does review them from time to time. However, his reviews and thoughts on the Xenoblade Chronicles series has led to several controversies on how he leads a bandwagon of Xenoblade haters, which led many fans of the series to feel attacked by Donkey. One thing that is important to note is that Donkey himself has never outright said he hates the game. It's obvious to a lot of people that know his style of content is not meant to be taken seriously, so I do somewhat doubt if he really hates Xenoblade. This entry also refers to the controversy to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, where Donkey spoiled many key story elements in his review without giving the viewers any proper spoiler warning, which didn't sit right with many fans. Fans got very outraged at the review for spoiling moments of the game itself, which prompted a response from Donkey on Twitter, where he said he thinks Twitter likes his recent video, obviously joking about the matter. Regardless of all of this, Donkey still makes content on YouTube to this day, and he is still very well respected amongst the gaming community.
7.8 out of 10, too much water.
This entry is an entry that has become a big meme online, but people at the same time don't really like the source material that it comes from. The phrase comes from an infamous IGN review of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. For those who don't know, IGN is a news site that primarily talks about gaming as well as other things in the entertainment industry, but mostly games. The thing IGN is most well known for is the reviews on certain games, with a lot of the reviews being made fun of because of how silly some of their points are, or the review score oftentimes being either too favourable or too harsh. One of those reviews was for the review for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, where one of the negatives was saying that there was too much water. Sorry, I can't. This almost immediately was made fun of, and then became an internet meme because of how silly it is to rate a game based on how much water is in it. That review is also often used to show how silly IGN can be with their critiques of games.
Islamic chanting / symbols in Ocarina of Time.
A lot of people who have sunk hours into Ocarina of Time would probably know about this one. This is referring to how in older versions of Ocarina of Time, the Fire Temple's background music originally sampled a sound effect that resembled Islamic call to prayer chanting. Now, I'm not too well educated on religion, especially on Islamic traditions, so anybody who is, feel free to correct me if I am wrong, but this being included as part of the soundtrack would have been considered offensive to the Islamic community, even for the time. Regardless if I'm correct or not, there was an outrage on this back in the day, which prompted Nintendo to remove the sample from the soundtrack in future releases of the game to avoid further controversy. There are different versions of Ocarina of Time that exist, but the versions of the game that maintain the original Islamic chanting audio are the Gold Edition cartridges of the game, often titled either version 1.0 or 1.1 because of this difference, alongside a slew of other minor differences between each version. Later re-releases of the game, such as the GameCube re-release, also replace certain symbols in the game as they can be compared to similar symbols in Islamic culture, which some of these symbols were used to represent the Gerudo, which would have been considered to be in poor taste, especially to those who know about the Gerudo in Ocarina of Time. I don't wish to speak for the Islamic community on this, so I'll mainly let them decide on how they feel about this, or how they felt about this at the time, as I am not someone from the Islamic community. Well, that's the end of part 1. I was originally going to make this a full 1 hour type of deal, but I decided because of my motivation for this project, I decided to just split it up into parts. I promise that a second part will be coming, regardless if this video does well or not. And, I'll be covering different topics in that part, and get ready to hear a lot of Pokemon because, the Iceberg has a lot of entries linked to the Pokemon franchise. That will definitely be a very fun thing to hear constantly. If you enjoyed this video, then hit the like button and maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss the next part. I will be doing other stuff such as my Friday Night Funkin' covers and other updates to my other projects like for yokai.rpy and Doki Doki Transfer Student. So if you're interested in those projects, then feel free to subscribe for those. But if you just want to subscribe for the Nintendo Controversy Iceberg, then hit the subscribe button and I'll let you know when I finish it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.